Let's speak about Lordstown Motors. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor, and you all know what this video is about. Hindenburg is back at it again, and potentially most well known for their previous short report on Nikola. So they've come out and they have attacked Lordstown Motors. Here is the title: The Lordstown Motors Mirage, Fake Orders, Undisclosed Production Hurdles, and a Prototype Inferno. And I have to say, I've read through this whole thing probably 5 times at this stage. It is very long, and I wouldn't just dismiss it whatsoever. There's definitely some very concerning things in here. But I think what's important to understand is, to read it, to take into account what they're saying. But right now it is just their word against Lordstown Motors' word. And we've already had Steve Burns and Tim Gross of E Squared Energy essentially come out and say that certain parts of this are complete lies, and then other parts are half truths, half lies. Lordstown Motors also did come out and said that they're going to be releasing a thorough statement sometime in the near future. Who knows if it's going to be over the weekend, or maybe they'll just throw it in with their earnings call next week. But that's when we're really going to get a fuller picture. So, the likes of me or the likes of you trying to decipher this, decide what is true, what is wrong, is somewhat obsolete in all honesty. It's Hindenburg's thoughts against our thoughts, against Lordstown's thoughts. It's a lot of different thoughts. But what we're going to do is we're going to read through the key points of it. Again, I don't want to spend time going through the entirety of this short report because it's extraordinarily long and a lot of it's going to be disproved. Then we will have a look at Lordstown Motors' initial response to the short sellers, and also Tim Gross's from E Squared, what he had to say. And then one more thing that I think is quite funny is Marcus Lemony. You guys will know him. Very funny tweet by him. Look how good this thing rolls down a hill. This is obviously, because the last big short they did was on Nikola, and one of the big things in that was that the truck just rolled down a hill, whereas, we have proof that it's not rolling down a hill. But anyway, my friends, right before we do get into the video, before we get into having a look at what's going on here, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button? Drop me a comment down below, let me know what you're doing with your shares. I bought a little bit more yesterday, added to my position. Feels good to buy at these prices. I thought they were a fantastic buy under 20, so I still do now. As long as, Lordstown Motors comes out and gives a good response to a lot of the points that I brought up. And please, my friend, if you are indeed new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button and join the family of investors. Also, if you are interested in joining my private Discord group, that is the first link in the description. That's where I found out about this. We were speaking about it pretty much for hours last night. You also get access to all of my buy and sell alerts, access to over 50 private channels. It's a juicy community. And if you like 2 free stocks on Webull, that's the second link. So very quickly before we do go into the short report, I just want to look at the price action. So Lordstown went from about $17 a share or so. They made absolute lows of about $13.50, and they closed today back up at just about $15 a share. So, there was an initial, I believe it was close to 23% drop, absolutely huge, but there was a decent little recovery in there. And one more thing I'd like to point out, look, the price we're at now after this short report is where we were when, the corrections and the dips of last week brought us. So after that short report, we're at the same price we were on the 5th of March. So we were after making a nice recovery. Obviously, all of that's been wiped out, but still, it's not that insane. And one more thing, just to preface the video, it's important that when you're looking at these short reports, okay, Hindenburg Research does not care about you. They want to make their money. They obviously had puts on, they had a short position, they disclose it in this article. Well, they don't disclose puts, they just disclose having a short position, but you get the picture. They made this article for one reason and one reason only, is to, try and force people to sell their shares, or to encourage people to sell their shares so that they can make money. And when that is the case, they're willing to, stretch the truth or even just outright lie. And also leave out whatever bits and pieces, don't fit their agendas. So here is the first thing that really needs to be spoken about, because this is what they speak about a lot. The company has consistently pointed out its book of 100,000 pre-orders as proof of deep partners, and an extensive document review show that the company's orders are largely fictitious and used as a prop to raise capital and confer legitimacy. So in simple terms, essentially, if you read through this whole thing, they're accusing Lordstown Motors of actually paying people on a per pre-order basis, just so that they can have a bigger backlog, even though, no deposit is necessary. They also speak about these pre-orders in regards to the fact that they're a pre-revenue company, but Lordstown Motors have never claimed any of these pre-orders as revenue at any time. And as well, this is one of those scenarios where it's Hindenburg against Steve Burns and Lordstown Motors right now. We don't know the truth. What we do know, okay, from in an interview with the Wall Street Journal, happened literally later on that same day, Burns acknowledged hiring consultants to generate pre-orders. That's a normal practice, but said this was done to assess market demand. He told the publication the pre-order book was never misrepresented. So who has more to lose here? Steve Burns from lying or Hindenburg? Steve Burns. If Hindenburg lies, nothing's going to be done about it. They're already going to take in your money. We are not stating these are orders and have never stated that. And I think, that's been made very, very obvious. The Wall Street Journal also highlighted that Lordstown Motors stated it did not have customers or pending orders in a December regulatory filing. So again, this is the way it should be done. This is all above order. Noting there was no assurance the non-binding pre-orders would transition into sales. Now we're going to come back to that momentarily. Next up, for example, Lordstown recently announced a 14,000 truck deal from E2 Energy, supposedly representing $735 million in sales. E2 is based out of a small residential apartment in Texas that doesn't operate a vehicle fleet. Tim Gross, CEO of Texas-based E2 Energy, came to the defense of Lordstown Motors. He said their pre-orders are based primarily on the output of Lordstown. In the first year they'll be somewhat limited with only 20,000 vehicles, and we have 2,000 on the LOI, and second year we have 4,000 and production will begin about 40,000, and the third year we're ramping up to 8,000. That's what we're estimating. So I mean, straight off the bat, that was one of the very first points these guys brought up, but they just tried to belittle to an extent E2 and Tim Gross, and it didn't really work out at all. He then proceeded to say, I think it's obvious what the report was intended to do. He also said his company plans to fill all of the orders for the Lordstown vehicles. We are a legitimate service program. We buy vehicles for municipalities and customers who don't have large budgets to switch to EVs. I did a full 30-minute video with Tim about this. One of the points that they brought up in this was that E2 didn't even have a fleet of its own. And that doesn't matter. It doesn't need a fleet of its own if they are going to sell to fleets. So right off the bat, they're the main defenses we've seen just initially from Steve Burns and from Tim. And I think everything that's been said is pretty fair, and it's all pretty obvious as well. But the thing is that the average person who doesn't have much conviction and who just comes and reads through this without much of a knowledge on Lordstown Motors will just, believe everything that's put in front of them. But again, remember that Hindenburg has an agenda. Now, there is things like this, okay? Another 1,000 truck, $52.5 million order comes from a 2-person startup that operates out of a Regus virtual office with a mailing address at a UPS store. We spoke with the owner, who has acknowledged it won't actually order any vehicles, instead describing the pre-order as a mere marketing relationship. Again, we don't know if this is true. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm sure that things like this happen. I mean, of course, if it's going to be mutually beneficial, if you are going to have this sort of relationship building, if it's going to make Lordstown Motors look better, is it the best way to do it? Maybe not. But I mean, these things happen all of the time. So if this is true, though I think it's the end of the world, no, but I think we need to find out to what extent this has happened. If it's not true, if Steve Burns can come out, if he can get this 2-person startup to, speak to him and give an official statement, that'll be disproved. And again, a whole lot of credit is lost straight away. And that's what I'm going to have to say at pretty much every point in today's video. It's Hindenburg against Lordstown right now. Now, there are other things, pre-orders aside. Hindenburg cite that former employees and litigation records reveal that in order to raise capital and confer credibility, Steve Burns began paying consultants for every truck pre-order as early as 2016, what I was speaking about. That's obviously not something you want to see at all. But I also just don't think it's true. And then there's another one here. One company rep that committed to buy 40 trucks through Climb to Glory told us, I'm not committed to anything, not to buying a single vehicle. I committed to consider buying vehicles. But I mean, we know that. We know that's exactly what these pre-orders are. So of course, if you're going to go and, try and interview every single customer, I'm sure that plenty of them have no intentions of ordering the vehicles. And I did try to speak with Steve Burns about this in the past, and he essentially just said that, the large majority of them are very serious, but of course with pre-orders, sometimes they're going to fall through. And that goes on just with a few more companies in general. You get the picture. Despite claims that Lordstown will be producing vehicles by September, a former employee explained how the company is experiencing delays and making drastic design modifications, putting them an estimated 3 to 4 years away from production. Look, this one here just sounds ridiculous. I mean, they're in beta stamping. That's not 3 to 4 years away from production. And again, a former employee who none of us know is, no more than a fictional character. It's not exactly a great source. But again, I understand it's the kind of thing that will scare people. And it's the kind of thing that if it's true is absolutely terrible, don't get me wrong. But yet again, it's their word against Lordstown's. And then we get the same thing here. Despite claims that battery packs will be manufactured in-house, we were told that the equipment is months away from arriving, let alone being put into a production environment. In the meantime, we were told that battery packs are being put together by hand. We'll find out. They also go on to speak about the fact that executive directors have sold $28 million in stock so far. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of money. But at the same time, it is what it is. Now again, guys, genuinely, whether you are a Lordstown Motors investor or not, you're a shorter or a buyer, read this, okay? There is a lot of information. I have to say, it's well put together. At the end of it, it's a short report. I mean, there's going to be a lot of lies in here. But I'm sure that there is some truth in here as well, and Steve Barnes agrees. CEO Steve Barnes said Hindenburg's report was full of half-truths and lies. He also did reaffirm, the company is still on track to begin mass producing the vehicle in September. Now what we need to wait for next is this. A Lordstown Motors spokesperson on Friday evening said the company is preparing to release a thorough statement. And when we do, we will absolutely be refuting the Hindenburg research report. So I'm very happy to see that. That's the basics of it though, my friends. Of course, there is so much more to speak about. You know, I could speak about this for 10 hours today if we were to go into every single point, but there's no point. There is no definites as of right now. We need to wait to get them from the company itself. So hopefully that clears up a few things in regards to this short report. By no means am I trying to dismiss anything that's said here. By no means am I trying to defend what's being said here, you know, from a Lordstown point of view. I'm just trying to give you guys both sides of the story as best as possible. And I'm saying don't blindly believe everything that we read here because, you know, literally a few hours after this was reported, we had already heard from Steve Barnes and Tim Gross, and certain parts of it already, at the snap of fingers, were dismissed. Steve Barnes himself said there is half-truths and lies in there. We're going to find out what they are relatively soon. And until then, not too much point in stressing over it. But anyway, my friends, if you watched this video all the way till the end, you are a true legend, and I really do appreciate you being here from the bottom of my heart. Your support means the world to me. If you did enjoy today's video, could I please ask you to hit that juicy like button, maybe drop me that comment down below, let me know what you think, and subscribe if you're new around here. Again, if you are interested in that private Discord group, it is a juicy community full of juicy investors. And if you want those free stocks on Webull, that's the second link in the description. Anyway guys, I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I'll see you for another video very soon. Peace.